Warning: the following podcast contains violent scenes that may be unsettling to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
The post-Civil War landscape of the American West offers escape and opportunities to many new immigrants who come to the country's shore. A few of them brave the journey to the camp town of Missouri Crossing, each looking for a new lease on life in the Dakota Territories. Join the settlers of Missouri Crossing, including Gregory Smith, played by Joaquin, Sister Margaret Miller, played by Monica, Bjorn Hagman, played by Chris, and Craig as the Keeper of Arcane Lore, as we explore the horrors that await us on Down Darker Trails. Having finally settled on your newly acquired land and built up your various dwellings, your group has pretty much finally made itself a home, at least a temporary one, in these new lands west against the eastern border of the Missouri River. Now, Bjorn, you've been kind of off your game for a little bit. What exactly have you been up to in the past few weeks?
Good question. I've been mainly focusing on finding a place to live, ensuring my son is getting an education, but also apprenticing with Gregory, helping Gregory get established, and trying to get a feel of the town, the feel of everything that's going on, and maybe keeping his ears open for work of some sort. So basically settling in.
So where have you and your son kind of made up? Did you build your own cabin? Are you still in that tent that you were using earlier, or are you trying to bunk with someone else?
I'd say we're probably still in the tent, that we were in before. I'd say Bjorn's just still trying to get a lay of the land before he goes and makes a decision of that. And to be honest, he was pretty unsettled by what happened the last time he was in game. And he's just kind of trying to get a feel of exactly what's going on in the town before he makes a decision like that.
So, while you're kind of getting the area together, maybe there's a few trees that need felling in order to make room for a more permanent settlement. Johan comes up to you and says, Father, things have been going pretty well with Mr. Smith. I was wondering if I could maybe, have a few pennies to get some nails and, some things to help along over here.
Bjorn stops for a second and kind of looks at him and is like, help along with what?
Great. Mr. Smith, his family has a cabin already, and any kind of motions around, and you realize that people are starting to put on their heavier coats, and these you're kind of looking around and seeing you've been helping out so many other people that you're probably at the neglect of your own comfort.
Yeah, I look at him for a second and I just kind of go up to the tent that we stay at. I pull out my traveling bag and the secret little area in there where I have my little stash of money, and I come back out because I never want anyone to see it, happen to see outside where I keep my money. Then I come back out to him and I hand him some pennies. I'm like, go ahead, go. Yeah, just be careful and tell Mr. Smith I said hi if you stop by. What's his temperament like lately?
Oh, you get the idea that Johan's trying not to paint it as Mr. Smith in a bad light or anything, but he's better.
Speak plainly.
Well, Mr. Smith seems very happy about the sort of security this spot would give. I mean, it might have been better for us, Father, to be on the outskirts or closer to the city, but he seems pretty happy with his back up against the river.
Then I just stop for a second. I just kind of stare and I'm like, listen, son. And I just go up to him, I put my hand on his shoulder. I'm like, for us to survive out here, we have to be frank with one another. So if I ask a question like how Mr. Smith is doing, just be honest with what your gut feeling tells you, just like you told me now.
He nods his head and kind of you see his right thumb's kind of like pulling at his belt a little bit, kind of where that revolver you gave him is hanging. And he looks back up to you and nods. How much money are you giving him?
Just like, I don't know, a couple of pay, whatever he thinks is going to be enough. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to give him too much and have him get robbed or something, you know? So I'm just giving him enough to start on a cabin here eventually, I suppose.
Okay, so not quite a dollar,
Yeah, not
but
quite a dollar.
more than a few pennies, not quite a dollar.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so what sort of like priorities of work is like Bjorn getting up to around here now?
You mean like at the moment or in the last 2 weeks, you're saying?
Well, both actually. I mean, we kind of established that he's been helping out a lot of the other folks, but
Yeah. Well, Bjorn's kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place right now because he was hoping that this new frontier in the West would be like an escape from, stuff from the old world. And he, within his first day, saw signs that like this place is probably has very similar traits that he saw in the old world, just with the shooting and everything like that. If not, it's more uncivilized, so he, Jean's not a lazy person at all, but he's been putting off committing to a specific job because the law enforcement side of him is kind of like starting to come out in the forefront, being like hyper vigilant and kind of like trying to get a feel of everything that's going on. So he's almost like selfishly using the the helping others as trying to get like a lay of exactly what's going on in the land right now. And it's almost to a detriment. Like his son pointed out, like, hey, dude, we need the cabin. It's like slipped his mind just because he's been like so hyper focused just because of like the experience of going to that bar and just having like everyone laugh at him, the intensity of that, and then seeing someone get shot right away. What happened on the way here? So like he's almost, I don't want to say he's scattered brain, but he's definitely doesn't have like the same checklist of priorities that he had before they left Chicago, if he was to get in a land like this.
So does he have a new plan, or is he just still trying to figure things out?
He's still trying to figure things out. Like, and he almost like, to be honest, he is trying to figure, because there's no law enforcement here, and then there's the big debate on who has the lay or the control of like law here. Is it the army? Is it the citizens? And it's a very tricky subject. But he in his gut is like really thinking like this can't go on like this. You can't have a land of like men and alcohol and like hardly any women, and just like have it become this unruly place because it's just like going to get worse and worse and worse. So in a weird, not in a manipulative like ha ha ha, I'm like manipulating my friend's selfish reasons. He saw an opportunity with Gregory having taken the lead in the camp and showing that he's good at courting people, and then B, the fear that Gregory has of like something like that happening again, which by the way Raymond has also, and he's hoping that like Gregory can get some influence. What's that?
Bjorn, not Raymond.
Oh yeah. I just mean Gregory and Bjorn both have the same fear, so he's hoping that Gregory gets influence from like, because he's good at like making deals and all that shit, to where somehow some way they can get some kind of law or law enforcement or something to that extent here. So it's going to take some finagling, especially with Gregory having a brother in the army who's stationed in the area too. So but then cold slap across the face by his son, like, hey, we need someone to live during the winter. And he's like, oh shit, you're kind of right. So
yeah, like Bjorn would know that a local project in town is sort of like a lot of the miners and woodcutters have been kind of like, putting aside their like cultural rivalries. They're kind of like pitching together to like build like a bunkhouse in the middle of town, so at least they can get out of their tents. So a worst case scenario, you could live over there, but like you with a purpose move specifically with your own group.
Yeah, he definitely wants to stay by Sister Margaret and Gregory, just because of kind of what they were all exposed to on the way there and everything like that. And who knows what else is in this land. That's the kind of like thing you don't think about.
Yeah. So Johan, the parts he heads like just kind of like little northeast of where your little settlement is, and you kind of just watch him as he kind of disappears behind some of the trees from view. So Gregory, tell me a little bit about how you have set up your shop.
So Gregory, he's unloaded he's got all his equipment basically, but a bunch of like hammers, different tools to shape metal, the anvil, and one thing he made sure to bring along was like a little nail press to help him make nails faster because he knew they were going to be a hot commodity in the soon and immediate future. So yeah, I think how he would do is make sure to have his forge sort of set up so that he is facing the entrance to the place, sort of faces like the main street area. And whenever he like works on the metal, he always has his back to like the fireplace, which is always facing out towards the main street and beyond. Just he always just like, even when he's working, sometimes you see him like take peeks out to make sure, just keep an eye on what's in front of him.
Do you feel reassured nowadays being able to wear that apron again? You mentioned earlier in character creation how it felt for the longest time like a second skin to you, but now like for the most part you've been working without it because like on the trail and such, and then you finally take it out. Does that have any reassurance for him?
I would definitely say so, yeah, because Gregory is like, finally, we made it to the spot. I'm finally back in my forge. I'm finally starting to get back to like where my domain. So he's like, okay, I'm setting my place up. Coming back to the river. I got a secure place to work with. I'm feeling better now. He still wakes up in the middle of the night and sometimes just looks out like the window or something, just like opens the door a crack. He still doesn't quite sleep well, but he definitely feels a lot better overall.
Yeah, and you probably like made some like raised wooden pallets for your family to sleep on, so you're not on the ground. And during the day you could probably use them to work on, and at night you can take the stuff, shove it underneath, and have your family sleep off in there. And even once your brother in the last couple of weeks has stayed over the night and slept on the floor near the forge for warmth. So yeah, you got a pretty full house there. Speaking of a full house, it's a typical average work day for you. Been pressing nails, drawing out long rods of iron that will be eventually shaped into something else. You find that if you could just take the raw stuff and put it into something workable, you could then later mold it into whatever needs making. So very different qualities. You got your pig iron, which is pretty impure but cheap. And you got your more high quality stuff that you're saving for specific projects. You just like you put together like a hammer or two, which got put to use pretty quick, and a couple hatchets, not to mention like a whole bucket full of nails so far, which you can't seem to pump those out fast enough. And Johan, who's been sort of helping you and your son Mark, he's been basically put to nail work, since that's probably one of the easier things to do. And you have regular customers. Most of them are from the wagon train that came in. A lot more people from the center of town have been coming in, like kind of see what you got. Sometimes they come back with money and ask you to make something specific. And your queue is, getting pretty long, and you've been working long hours. Do you think the work would help distract Gregory from some of his fears, or do you basically work these long hours just to get things done, or is it both?
I think it's a bit of a combination that he is putting in long hours, mostly because he has a lot of work to do, and so he needs to get it done to help make sure he gets to pay for everything. And also partly he does enjoy the added benefit of if he's too tired and too busy just working at the forge, he's not really he doesn't stay up at night just making sure listening for things creeping in the dark or feeling like there's something watching him, even though he knows that that's not really the case. He knows.
Yeah. So you've been pushing yourself pretty hard into your work, and like days will go by sometimes where you just zone out and like you lose some time, and then you just realize, then you look down and like the project you're working on is pretty much complete. It's a little off-putting because you've only zoned out a few times before your journey out here, but you're recognizing that, especially when you're working, it happens more often. And at one point, you just finished putting together like an axe blade. You'll need to sharpen it yet, but you kind of hear your son Mark saying, "Father, father," and you look around, and besides Mark, there's also this young boy who you never saw before. He has like really suntanned skin. He's wearing like these like leather chaps. He's shirtless, has long black hair. You'd probably guess that he's a native Mandan from the area, but he's kind of just like looking at you, and he has like some sort of bundle under his arm.
Who is this?
You're asking Mark?
Yeah.
I don't know, Father. He kind of just came in.
Doesn't speak English?
The young boy kind of looks at you, and like he shakes his head, but then he points up to the bench that you've been working on, and you can tell that he's pointing at one of the axes that you made.
I sort of point at it as it's like axe. You want axe?
And he points at axe, and then he takes the bundle out from under his arm and kind of proffers it up, and then like kind of lays it on the ground, and you kind of realize it's like it's a couple deer skins, and like inside it looks like some salted fish, and like a beaver pelt hat. And then he kind of like gestures to it, and then he says, "X."
Okay, can I make some kind of roll to see? Would Gregory be able to know if that is roughly a good trade? Appraise, maybe?
Sure, yeah, appraise would work. That'd be a good one, actually, because they got rid of bartering.
And I just realized I have 0 in appraise.
I would allow.
Why can't that be accounting?
I would allow either. Well, I would allow counting.
All right, the counting. I got something in that. 99. I don't get it.
So, I mean, he obviously wants an axe, and he's brought a variety of things. You're not quite sure of the value of like any one of these because like you're not sure how abundant this sort of fish is. You don't know exactly like what kind of animal the hat might come or how rare it would be. Obviously, there's the deer skins might have some immediate value, but you know that he brought stuff, but you're clueless what the sort of like transactional equivalent would be between them, because that is a botch.
Yeah, he's from Chicago. He's not used to people treating him in furs for trade.
Yeah,
he heard stories about the old days, but not him. He hasn't had that personally.
You know what? How much coin this would get you? Which personally I don't know, but you're just kind of like the kids like saying like seems to be saying which one? What do you need for that axe?
Okay, so I think Gregory he'll like sort of take the axe and he'll just sort of like poke around at the stuff he laid out. And I think he'll take the hat and a couple of the deer skins, but leave the fish behind. He is like completely in the dark, desperately trying to guess his way through this, and so he'll take the first stuff and then he'll like hand the axe over.
The kid seems pretty happy about that, and he says, good man," and like bundles up the fish and grabs the axe and kind of scurries away before you can change your mind.
Now he'll turn to Mark and say, "Well, I'm gonna have to admit that one was a bit of a gamble, son."
What do you mean, Father?
Well, see, this far out west, we have sometimes. I bet this won't be the last time we'll have to trade in items rather than money. Now you're gonna have to start learning This is why learning costs and values and things is important. I think for now it's just I made off better on this deal just by having a new trade source that the boy will probably tell the other natives that if they want to come here with trade, I can give them something. It's always can't hurt to have more customers,
even if they're. And he kind of trails off and like seems to indicate like that boy.
Hey, money is money. Doesn't really matter whose hand it comes from.
Yeah, Mark seems to nod at that and accepts the wisdom in it, and like kind of does his part to shake out the deer skins, and like he kind of puts them on the bed because it's like an
And
improvement.
Gregory like put the
Yeah.
hat on him just to see how it fits him.
It's a bit big for Mark, but
Well, you'll go into it.
yeah, like your boy seems pretty excited about that, and it keeps like falling down over his eyes, but he'll lift it up again, and like he's like, okay, yeah, I can make this work. So yeah, you get along. Johan appears later in the day to kind of help out with some nail making. And at this point, can you make me a listen roll?
Okay. 23 out of 23. I made it.
Oh, awesome. First off, check your listen. And secondly, there's some screaming coming from the north.
Is it person screaming or is it animal screaming?
It sounds like a woman.
Okay, at that point, Gregory will just like sort of just drop what he's doing and just sort of go out and to investigate.
Like you kind of rush past your son, Mark, and you kind of like, as you're going, you kind of run into Bjorn, who seems to have perked up as this as well because he's outside and not clanging around in a forge. So I'm going to say, scenes on you two.
Do you hear that? But sounds like someone screaming?
I'm looking in the direction of it. I'm like, yes. And I just start like moving that way before, like not going to debate the merits of the scream, but I'm just heading that way, fastly.
Yeah, and so Bjorn will, sorry, Gregory will follow behind, keep idly sort of like gripping a hammer from his forge and just sort of, in his mind, just sort of thinking, don't let it be like what happened last time. Don't let it be what happened on the trail. Do not let it be what happened on the trail.
So you guys take off in a rush, and you're getting closer to the source of the screaming. You're kind of using the river to your left as a handrail as you make your way north. And in the nearing distance, you see a few tents that have been perched up, and this place is like where a lot of the washerwomen tend to apply their trade. It's a bit upriver from the sawmill, so there's less debris getting into it. So it's a pretty good spot for them. And like you're seeing just like a really tall, like pale figure just like clasping another who is just sobbing uncontrollably. And you see that there's this other shorter woman in like a black like gown, it seems like, who's just frantically trying to cover up another of the screaming women.
I'm still going to make my way down there. I'm going to start calling out like, hello, hello. And I'm just like rushing over there, like, trying to get their attention that we're coming.
Margaret, as you're still naked and clutching to Sister Michael, who's frantically trying to calm you down a little bit, you hear the very familiar voice of Bjorn calling out to you.
Margaret, the second she hears a man's voice, she kind of uses Sister Michael as a shield and turns her so that Sister Michael's back is facing the oncoming man, and Margaret is kind of shielded by her body since she's naked. So she kind of peeks over Sister Margaret's shoulder. She sees it's Bjorn, and she's got this feeling of excitement that help is finally here, but also freaking out. She is a naked nun. So she puts her hand out and says, Mr. Hagman, stop right there. Stop right there. I'm indecent at the moment. I'm indecent. And she kind of puts one arm around Sister Michael as if she's hugging her lower back, and she starts kind of sidestepping like a crab to try her best to get back to, the bathhouse where she left her clothes.
And this, one of the washerwomen are like recognizing that there are men in the area, is frantically trying to grab at that pile of abandoned laundry and like kind of rushes over to you to kind of like basically screen you from the men. And Gregory and Bjorn, can you make me spot hiddens as Margaret is kind of scurried away?
12 out of 40. I made it.
Sorry, I'm pulling up my app here. Give me 1 second. 91, I did not make it. 91 out of 59.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot going on right now, but in the scuttle, Gregory, after you check your skill, you notice that there's like another smaller group of women who are by the river, and they seem to be screening something else. And you see what appears to be an outline of a human body in the river.
I turned to Bjorn and point out towards the river. It's like, is that a body?
I look to see what he's pointing at.
And now that he pointed it out, you see that like it seems like two of the women are kind of like trying to both hide a body from you, but also trying to get it up on shore a little bit, but without kind of exposing it to sight, if it will.
I react to that, and I'm like, and I scream down there. I'm like, stop. And I'm screaming at don't move that body. And then I turn to Gregory and I'm like, go talk to Sister Margaret. Find out what you can about what happened. I got to go look at that before they mess it up. And I just like head rush down there without even getting the okay from him, you know?
And Gregory would just sort of say, but he's to the gesture to this group of women who are like trying to cover Sister Margaret. It was just, he doesn't know what to do in the situation.
I know. I'm just like, sorry, bro, I'm out. Sorry to cock block you. My wife just died, but I'm running downstairs. You know what I mean? Or not downstairs. I'm running down towards the river just to like, you know, I don't want them to move that body, man. Like that's just, you know, like, or find out what's going on. So my instincts are kicking in now.
Yeah. You appear to have like startled one of the women, and she like kind of half drops the body that she was pulling out, and it makes like a plunking sound and starts getting like closer to the river, and it starts like very slowly starting drifting away towards the middle of it again. And as you get closer, you realize it's like the body of a naked woman, one you've never seen before.
Is it drifting away now? Like, do I have to stop it from drifting away, or is it kind of like kind of in the area like where it's not caught in the current?
It's not caught in the current yet, but if no one does anything, it like within like 30 seconds or so, it might start drifting over there.
So I'm gonna like go stop it from drifting and just kind of like gently try to get it as close to the beach as I can, but I don't want to lift it up and, you know what I mean, like move it too much. Like my instincts are kicking in because I kind of want to be in its native environment where it was found. You know what I mean? Before like we move it, you know, just to see what details I can notice, you know. And I'm not even really like, I see what's about to happen with the body drifting off, so I'm not even like telling the two women like what I'm doing. I'm just going, you know what I mean, just starting to maneuver it like automated.
Yeah, like the two kind of like as you kind of come barging in there and you kind of gave them a little bit of a scare, they kind of scurry off because they don't really know you. And like for them, like a lot of times strange armed men can be trouble.
For sure. Yeah.
So they kind of like scurry up as you kind of like grab the ankle of this woman and kind of like steady her so she's like not gonna get swept up by the current. And you're kind of like looking down. She's moderately attractive, despite the fact that she's been in the water for a while, it seems. Pale skin, like hard to tell what color her hair might be because it's like wet, so it's probably like a little darker than you would think it would be otherwise, but like it's just weird, and you're kind of like having like mental images of like this woman could have been happy in her life at some point, and like you like image flashes of like your wife just like smiling at you, and then you look down at the woman and she looks nothing like your wife, but like looks like she had a pretty easy life rather than like most of the other settlers around here. And like it kind of like it's not like going to cause you sanity because you have the appropriate backgrounds because you were in law enforcement and you've seen stuff like this before. You've seen much worse, but like it's never easy to come across like this.
She doesn't look like a horror at all. You're saying she looks like comes from an easier life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start like gently like looking over the body just to kind of see if either I see that there's any wounds, like what she like. I mean, I don't see any blood. Obviously, it's been in the water for a while, but like see if they can see any stab wounds or if she just drowned. You know, and I don't know. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I just I'm doing a myriad of different things too. Like, I mean, it depends on what my initial answer like if I can see like what I think a cause of death is, or anything like that.
Sure, make me a medicine roll.
Yeah, for sure. What? I don't have any medicine, dude. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Oh, okay. I might not know the cause of death, but can I do a spot hidden to see if I see any stab wounds or anything like that?
Sure.
Yeah. Let me go ahead and do that. Seeing that's not really a cause of death thing. That's more of a, I got a 3.
Well, it doesn't appear like anything like a traditional blade or a like a bayonet might make. Like she does have some marks all over her body, possibly from rocks, but
rocks and wildlife. Yeah.
It doesn't look like wildlife like got to her and started eating her or anything, but she has some marks on her. And sorry.
I'm sorry. No, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I apologize.
I mean, nothing that would stand out to like someone like you who's like untrained in this sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Margaret, you're able to kind of get back into the tent where your towels, some of the clothes that Sister Michael had started to dry out for you are, and like you notice that that little book with the red cover is kind of like half exposed underneath one of the towels, and you kind of like are kind of shoved in there by Sister Michael and one of the washerwomen.
Sister Margaret is immediately drawn to the book, and she feels momentarily very possessive of it. Like she doesn't want anybody to see it. She doesn't want anybody to touch it. So she walks backwards towards it and kind of uses her thinner body to kind of hide it and says, leave me, please. Go help Mr. Bjorn, go help Mr. Hagman and Mr. Smith. I can get myself put together. They need your assistance. Tell them exactly how the body came to be, how you found it. Make sure they know that nobody has touched it. I'll get dressed and I'll be out momentarily.
The washerwoman nods and departs quickly. Sister Michael looks at you and kind of like takes the driest habit that she could kind of find and kind of shakes out some of the dirt from where it was abandoned on the ground, and with some apologies hands it to you, and kind of like after you take it, she'll like depart from the tent and leave you be.
Margaret rushes to get dressed, immediately picking up the book, making sure that it wasn't damaged in any way. And she, just like she had done before, she kind of sticks it in her pantaloons and her bloomers as she's getting dressed to make sure that the layers of clothing will hide it and that no one, will be none the wiser that she has this with her. Once she's completely dressed, she kind of, she kind of races out and nearly bumps into, Gregory, who was coming inside to kind of see what she was doing. So she says, Mr. Smith, thank goodness you're here. We have no idea what happened. I was in the bath. Sister Michael was assisting with laundry with a few of the other women. I heard screaming. I heard screaming, jumped out of the water, came out, and there was the body. I was just speaking to Sister Michael to go get Mr. Hagman when the two of you raced forward. This body just floated upon the river. We have no idea where it came from. No one touched it. I made sure of that. But there are 2 strange marks on the bosom. It looks like some sort of wild animal may have attacked it.
So Gregory, he'll just sort of like take all this information, then he'll be at a loss for words at this point. He'll be like, do you think it was something like on the trail here?
I don't know. To be frank, the marks are quite extraordinary. I've never seen anything like this in my life. There are 2 puncture marks, seemingly like of fangs of a canine. However, there is nothing else on the body that would indicate any other teeth. Normally, when a dog or wolf or any such canine bites, you see the incisors in the front also. There's a sort of circular mark around it, but it doesn't show any of the bite pattern other than those fangs. I thought perhaps a wild bat, but even those leave a specific impression. I've never seen anything like this in all my years, not even in the field during war. It certainly seems like an animal, but one I've never seen before.
Huh. And that will definitely send a bit of a chill down the spine, just the phrase, an animal she's never seen before. So he sort of like takes the peek over in the general direction of the body, then looks sort of back and just. So you don't. No one knows. No one recognizes her at all.
No, I've asked the women, and obviously the laundry women see everyone's laundry in the compound. They say they have never seen this woman before. She's never been by, and they've never seen her in town. I thought perhaps it was somebody who had recently come into town to settle. I would assume that if they were new, your friend who you did your exchange for the land would know of them. But as far as regulars, no one recognizes her.
That is strange. And so he'll like sort of peek towards every other body, but remembering that it's new, he'll sort of like look at it, but not look at it at the same time, because he doesn't know how to react to this situation. He's not used to dead naked women.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what the protocol is.
You see, basically Bjorn's kind of like crouched down, trying to keep it from like flowing away and kind of studying it. And you see like one of the washerwomen's kind of like nervously approaching him, but like doesn't know how to like bring it up either.
And so Gregory will call Bjorn. Your investigation yield anything?
So as a player, I don't like I don't. I'm trying to think of. I'm going to articulate something to you, DM, and then maybe you can like give me whatever some insight. But I want there to be a chance like for the characters to see like when I like snap and look over, like snap my attention to them, that they notice like a change in me, like an intensity, you know what I mean? Or almost like an anger kind of like brewing, not at like Gregory, but just like at the situation or whatever.
Absolutely. Can I get psychology rolls from both Margaret and Gregory?
I did not make that.
I did. I got a 6 out of 30.
So Gregory, you're probably a little distracted because you're trying to like look at his attention, but also like you're very mindful that there's a naked female body in the river. So you're also not really looking at it. But basically, Sister Margaret, your eyes kind of from across the way, like meet Bjorn's, and like you do see that intensity that you haven't really seen for the last couple of weeks. But that same intensity, that wild look in his eye, where he is just like wanting to take charge again and try to like, do something about like any of this madness that you've been encountering along the trails recently.
So Bjorn's going go ahead. I'm sorry. I apologize. Monica, go ahead.
Oh, you're good. Sister Margaret kind of meets eyes with Bjorn, and she sees that intense look in his eye that she hasn't seen ever since presumably the incident with the animal back in the trail that nobody spoke about, it's hush hush. But she sees that look in his eyes, and it kind of makes her feel validated because she can't make heads or tails of this. And she didn't want to outright think it was something supernatural, because the simplest explanation is that it's just an animal in this area that she's unfamiliar with. But just something in the back of her mind kind of makes her think that this is one of those skin crawling things. And seeing that look in his eyes kind of brings like a rock to the pit of her stomach, both that there is something strange going on here, but at the same time it kind of reignites that feeling of Bjorn the hero versus Bjorn the lame guy that's with the hookers. So she's feeling very conflicted right now. On the one hand, happy that the right person's taking a look at the body, but on the other hand, kind of, oh God, I can't be feeling like this. So she reaches towards her hip and just kind of presses her palm against the book that's against her hip, and just goes to approach him to see what he's looking at.
Bjorn motions towards the lady who's walking up before Margaret was walking up, and is like, help me, please. And I'm just like trying to like move her, like kind of like what the lady was doing before, but just kind of like moving her like to the beginning of the beachhead, the riverbed or whatever, to avoid her getting washed up. I don't want to completely move her up to where the shacks are,
Yeah, the young woman like is looking pretty timid. Like you get a better look at her now. She might be maybe 16 or so, with like, yeah, kind of like still kind of like looking at this, but she is a woman at this time. So actually I'm gonna make a sanity roll for her, see how she's reacting.
Oh God.
She she takes a step closer to you and then looks down at the body and just says, "I'm sorry, sir. I can't. I cannot. I'm sorry."
I
And she
stand
kind of
up.
like runs away a little bit and then turns around and says, "I'm sorry," and then disappears into one of the tents. And you can kind of hear some crying as she loses a point of sanity.
So I look at Margaret, Sister Margaret, and I'm like kind of gauging her. And she's walking towards it, so I just kind of like, will you help me move this to here, just a couple of feet? I motion towards the girl's like feet, you know.
Of course. And she bends over, grabs the girl's body by the ankles, and he can tell that this is something that she's done before. It's not her first time moving a body.
So I look down at the body, and then I'm like, I look back at Gregory. I'm like, Gregory, see if you can get a clean a sheet from one of these ladies so we can cover this body, please.
Oh, sure, okay. Then he'll like go off and do that. And grateful for the chance to be able to avert his eyes.
Yeah, you find Sister Michael, who's already proffering this like dark piece of cloth to you.
Thank you, sister.
Anything I could do to help?
So I look at Margaret, and I'm like, look down at the body, and I'm like, this isn't a lady who works in a bar. This is someone of a higher standing. Do you know who this is? Who found this?
At his words, she kind of raises an eyebrow because she's immediately reminded that, of course, he knows what a woman who works in a bar looks like. And once she's moved the body, she kind of crosses her arms over her chest, which Margaret doesn't normally do. Her hands are usually either, folded in front of her, very ladylike, or at her sides. But now she's got her arms tightly folded over her chest. And she says, as I was telling Mr. Smith, I was in the bath. Sister Michael was assisting one of the other women doing the laundry. I heard screaming. I jumped out of the bath, ran outside, and we came across this scene. I did ask, but nobody knows this woman. She's not one of the regulars. No one has seen her in town. I presume that she's either someone new who just happened to come in and somebody disposed of her, or perhaps she's from a surrounding area and somebody threw the body out here trying to incriminate someone else.
Yeah. And I just kind of like just nod, I don't like add anything to, what she says. And I start looking around to see, does it look like, do I see footsteps? I mean, it's hard. There's been people running around here. I was wondering if I could do like a tracking. I'm sure the body's washed up, that he's not going to find anything, but like, he's just kind of like doing a cursory, like, would this be a place someone would drop a body off? Yeah. So I'm just kind of doing a cursory when she says dropping off a body or whatever. I just kind of nod to her. Yeah. And I just kind of like start looking around to see if like, does it look like this would be a place that someone would drop a body off?
Sure, you could like make me a tracking roll if you like. And while you're getting your roll going on, like what sort of like impression is going through Bjorn's mind? Because like you mentioned, you didn't really have anything to add. Because are you like impressed or whatever, or surprised at the amount of detail and the various calmness and the like all the possibilities that Margaret threw out there?
I mean, like, I'm not surprised because I kind of saw that what I've seen of her, not the devil caused my loins to cause all this mayhem kind of speech she gave, but like seeing how she seemed rather calm and collected during the whole madness that was the trip. Plus, like, I think there's like a bond between her, Gregory, and I, and the fact that we survived all that. So now, like, when I hear her speak, I just kind of automatically, not like I would have put it on the level of like a law enforcement agent, but like the fact that like, okay, you know what I mean? Like, I trust her word, and I have no, I think she's a valuable source at this moment, and especially during times like this where people are losing their minds, like I can't look, whatever, to have another person who's like relatively calm and able to speak, you know what I mean, and add to what's going on, why waste my time with breath, when I could be looking at other stuff going on. So I like am looking over the body, but I'm not like doing it in a lewd way, you know what I mean? And I look at Margaret and I'm like, I looked at the body. I can't tell, she could have died of something, I don't know, but it wasn't any violent act that I was able to find.
So Margaret will just kind of kneel down and she'll very gently point to the puncture wounds on the bosom and say, I noticed these straight away when she came in, And then she'll kind of lower her voice so that the people around them, even Greg, can hear. And she'll say, I don't know what's caused this, but I've seen this before.
And I just like stop and I like kneel down and I just look at her with like a raised eyebrow. You know what I mean? Just like that moment where I kneel down, I'm like looking at her like, you see, I'm like, I want to ask something first, but then I look at I look at what she pointed out and I'm kind of like looking at it. I'm looking at what she's showing me and seeing what it looks like, and kind of maybe like rub my thumb along it to see if it feels like a mosquito bite or to see, just doing anything that I can investigative, like to see what it is,
Yeah, and just to clear off the loose end, like you're looking around and you might have been able to track earlier, but now that there's been so much people running through, you have no way to know if this was just dropped off here or been here long. But after Sister Margaret points out the wounds to you, you're able to see the two fairly deep puncture wounds in there. They look relatively clean. Again, they're different than some of the other like scratches and like cuts along her back and torso, which you assumed came from like river rocks earlier. But these ones look like purposeful, intentional, and specifically placed because like you didn't notice them the first time around.
What is that? An animal bite? Snake?
Unfortunately, I don't know. It can't be snake. If you look, and she puts her pointer finger just under one of the puncture wounds and her pinky finger on the other as if to use them to measure the distance. She says, the only sort of animal that would make a bite this large, if it were a snake, we're looking at something huge, something that dwells in the rivers, perhaps an anaconda. But in such a climate as this, that is literally impossible. I thought perhaps it could be a canine of sorts, but again, as I was telling Mrs. Smith, when a canine bites, there's a sort of ovular form to the bite where you can see both the top and the bottom jaw, but all we're seeing is the top, these two fang-like bites. I can't place it, but if it's an animal, it must be endemic to the area because it's nothing I've ever seen before. But I have seen this somewhere else in this encampment on a living woman.
I just stop. I'm kind of shocked at that, and I kind of like stand up and I dust my hands off on my pants, and I'm like kind of like looking to see where the sheet's coming from, and I like offer my hand to help her up. I assume she takes it, so I'm just gonna like pull her up while I'm standing, and I'm kind of like, where have you seen this before?
And at
in the
that,
camp?
she gets kind of quiet, and she leans in towards his ear and says, "It's not something I can talk about right here. Come to my tent tonight after the sun has gone down, and I will explain everything I know."
If historical APs with a supernatural flair are your jam, then The Ultimate Evil is just right for you. With inspiration pulled from the Satanic Panic, The Ultimate Evil takes place in the 80s as four young men reunite to discover the mysteries that surround their childhood mentor's death.